Alright, as nice as this air conditioner feels, I gotta record video, so off with you. So, in this video, I wanted to discuss some of the stuff that I got for Amazon Prime Day for 2021, with the exception of one item that's going to be coming in next week, which is a case, basically just a standard mid-tower case. Bit of a jump cut here, apologize. This just came in today. The computer case that I probably mentioned. This is just post-editing Jordan here, just trying to get this caught up here. And then I also wanted to mention, I also got this, a TCL 10L smartphone. This is fully unlocked. And I think the TCL 20 series has come out, so that's probably why these were offered on a steep discount. But I did pick one of these up because I figured, why not? And with that, I also picked up an extra case. And I believe these TCLs do come with a case in the box, the 10L specifically. But I decided to go for my own purchase of a clear case. I got the Marina Blue, I think that's what the color is. And honestly, it looks really sharp. I like the way that the light reflects on the back. And it's a quad camera phone with a 48 megapixel main sensor. It's also got a macro lens, and I think that's just telephoto stuff. And it's also got a stupidly bright flashlight. So that's something that's really awesome. It only has a mono speaker. It does have a little whole camera cutout in the corner. Let me see if I can unlock this thing real quick. So yeah, you can see there's the corner cutout for the camera. Overall, not a bad device for the money. So it makes me curious to see what the TCL 20 series is like. Anyways, I digress. Back to the rest of the video. But everything else is here, so I figured I'd make the video anyway because, well, the case is just nothing to scoff at. It's just going to be for my main computer. And it'll also help with some of the other stuff that I plan to do, as you might be able to see some foreshadowing in the background. So, let's get into it. Alright, so starting off with some of the least interesting things, obviously I got a 2.5 to 3.5 inch drive adapter, which is mainly going to be used for an SSD. Got a 16 gig kit of ADATA XPG 3200 megahertz DDR4. This was about $75 for the kit, and this will be used in a future project. And same with this, which I'll get to that in a moment. This will also be used in a future project, just a basic SC914XT cooler from ID Cooling, which is supposed to support AM4, as you can obviously see right down there. So that's going to be useful. And then, obviously, the motherboard in question is this. This was $100 for Prime Day. This is an X470 Gaming Plus Max from MSI. Probably not the best board, or maybe the best quality board, but at least it's got X470, so that's pretty nice. It has an upgrade path. And the reason why I got this was because my current secondary AMD build uses my old motherboard, which is my Gigabyte B450M DS3H. And I also recently upgraded my CPU from a Ryzen 7 2700X to a 3700X for pretty cheap, actually. Now, that would be fine because that chip obviously works fine on that motherboard. I know that because I've used it before. But it's not really good for the VRMs, and they're not really properly cooled. So, they're not meant to run a 105-watt TDP chip for long periods of time, at least as far as gaming or CPU-heavy workloads are concerned, such as encoding video if I wanted to do it on the CPU. So I'm basically just going to upgrade the board, and with that means I had to get a new case. So the case that is currently being used by that system is right here, this little mini tower, and that would normally be its video card. So basically, I needed a new motherboard because I needed something with better VRMs, and well, this was $100, so I really can't argue with that. And it'll work fine with my 2700X. Now, of course, the case is going to be supporting this board. It's going to have the full expansion slots, so that's going to be nice. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. The board itself, it's not the best X470 board. I obviously could have done better, but it does have a decent array of VRM heat sinks on it for DDR4 slots, reinforced PCI Express X16 slot. It's got dual M.2 slots and lots of headers. And it's also got a nice handy clear CMOS button. And the box itself does come with a few different things. You got your IO shield, a couple SATA cables, stickers, a motherboard driver DVD if you really wanted to. But not like any of that stuff's gonna be useful right now until I can actually, build the computer. So for now, the board lays dormant in its box, looking pretty. because, well, I'm going to start that rebuild next week at the soonest, because I got to wait for my case to come in, and obviously I need to rebuild my main computer in that regard. So once I get my main computer out of the old case, which you probably know what I'm talking about, it's that absolutely massive case that I've got from, you know, when I originally got my system, then this will be built into that case, because, well, my new system's going to go in the other case. Or maybe it'll go the other way around. I don't actually know for sure. And I also got a couple of hard drives. These are 4 terabyte Seagate Barracuda compute drives. And Amazon had these for $75 a piece, which is pretty cheap for storage. So I picked up 2 drives because it was the quantity limit that I apparently had set for some reason. So I was only able to get 2 4 terabyte hard drives, which is actually perfectly fine. Now, I'm not particularly sure if I'm going to put these in my current server, which is my Dell PowerEdge T1102, or if I'm going to actually put them into my new server, which I recently scrap picked from work, a Dell PowerEdge T140, which it is a fairly recent server, but it was decommed because, well, it was number 1 out of warranty, because it only had a 1-year warranty, surprisingly. And also number 2, it has a Celeron in it, a Celeron G4900 to be exact. So, I mean, that's probably fair enough. That's probably good enough for a server, at least for file server duties and the light Windows deployment services type of stuff that I use the server for. And at least it does have some kind of upgrade path to a Xeon later on. I think it supports like a Xeon E2100 and Xeon E2200 series of processors, as well as an i3-8100 and an i5-8400. Woo, big deal. So either way, these will be my new storage drives, to which I'm going to use in a mirrored RAID array. So I'm going to just have 4 terabytes of storage, which is actually a better idea right now to implement this than what I've currently got implemented, which is 2 500 gig drives and a striped array. So it makes 1 terabyte, but there's no redundancy. So not that I store anything really crucial, it's just mainly Steam game backup files and some ISOs at the moment. But should I want to expand the usage of the server, because obviously this is going to have quadruple the storage effectively, I do want it to be redundant just in the event that one of these drives fails. So it would be nice to have at least a little bit of peace of mind. So yeah, $75 a piece for 4 terabyte hard drives. That's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to putting those into a system. See, now you know why I hate this case. Because it freaking rattles. Like, why? Seriously, it's so annoying. And lastly, the 2 most interesting items out of this haul are the mini PCs that I got, and you might have seen lingering in the background. Now, one of them is actually a mini PC. The other one here was basically just considered a computer stick on the packaging, which is kind of hilarious. Oh, actually, I think, yeah, compute stick right there. So these machines are, I think, the most interesting because they had some pretty steep discounts on them. And most specifically, I think this one is the most fascinating of them all. But I'll get onto this here later. I'm going to talk about the mini PC here itself. Now, these things are literally everywhere. You can find these things for Amazon Prime Day sales or just regular discounts. They usually have Prime shipping, and they can be found in a wide variety of configurations, ranging from Atom X5 CPUs to Celeron CPUs like this one has, or you can get full-fledged mobile i5s and Ryzens. So they do definitely expand based on what you need, and they definitely are capable. So, you know, depending on the price point, you can get yourself a pretty decent computer. And this one was not really all that bad of a value. I'll put the little blurb up on the screen of how much this one particularly costed me. Now, I wanted to try something with the Celeron J4125. Now, that might not sound like an impressive chip, but when you think about it, it's actually got quite an impressive pass mark score, at least comparative to other CPUs that you might think about. And no, it's not really all that fast, and obviously it ain't going to beat the socks off an AMD APU, but it's really not that bad of a chip, all things considered. And this one here in particular, this is the BMax, this is the, I think, yeah, the B2 Plus. This particular configuration has 8 gigabytes of LPDDR4 RAM and a 128 gigabyte M.2 SATA SSD of the 2280 variety. And of course, that could be upgraded to NVMe if I really wanted to, but probably don't need to. Now, there is also some reassurance on this because the CPU is new enough, and it also has a TPM 2.0 module. This thing can theoretically run Windows 11, which is pretty sweet, and it's on the cheap, so I can't be too mad, actually. Now, as far as the ports go, It does have USB-C on the front, as well as 2 USB Type-A ports, as well as a combination headphone jack and a reset button, as well as the actual power button. It does have a few little ventilation holes, and there's also on the left-hand side of the machine a micro SD card slot. On the back, you have dual HDMI outputs for video out, so you can drive dual monitors. I believe they are 4K 60 HDMI ports, which is pretty sweet, so you could theoretically do that with this machine. 2 USB 2 ports, a gigabit Ethernet port, and the power socket for the little wall wart power supply, which I'll actually grab that real quick because it's pretty impressive. So this thing came with a power supply rated for an output of 12 volts at 2 amps, so 24 watts. And it fits in this little thing, and it can drive 2 4K monitors, I think, and has USB Type-C and 4 USB ports, micro SD card slot, all that stuff, and it can run Windows 11. That's really impressive for the price point. And I mean, yeah, obviously, again, they have better machines for this purpose, but this one's really not that bad of a value. But what's even crazier is not this machine particularly. It will get its own video, mind you, but this one here I think is the more interesting of the two. This is the AWOW computer stick. I forget the exact model of it. I think it says on the bottom, but this one here uses the Celeron J4105, also part of the Intel Gemini Lake. Now, comparative to other chips that these computer sticks from AWOW would have came optioned with, I think the most interesting and the best value one is the J4105. And I'm glad that this one was on Prime Day, because that's actually one of the harder to find ones. Same with the J4125, because oftentimes machines with the J4125 are over $200, which is fair enough, I guess. Like this one, for example, I think would have been $250 retail. But this one here actually has, well, a fanless J4105 with a base clock of 1.5 gigahertz. And this little stick, well, I mean, this thing's freaking huge for a PC stick, mind you, but it's still a very small computer. And obviously, this isn't the most impressive machine. It's got eMMC storage at 64 gigabytes with 4 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM at 2133 megahertz, I believe. And it does have an HDMI output for 4K 60 hertz, which is really nice. It also has a mini display port, which is really handy to have. So you can also drive dual displays from this one computer. Really impressive stuff. Of course, what's more impressive is the fact that this thing has a USB Type-C port, although it is just USB, but really you can't be too mad. And it's got 2 USB 3 Type-A ports, a micro SD card slot supporting up to 512 gigabyte SD cards, Kensington lock, it has a Wi-Fi antenna there, and there's the power input socket. Now this thing is even more impressive because the output of its wall wart power supply is 5 volts at 3 amps. So this thing runs on 15 watts of power, and it's got virtually the same CPU performance as this thing with no fan. It's all passively cooled. Like, this entire thing is designed in a functional way to dissipate heat. Like, they have a blown out image on their website, on Amazon, the Amazon listing rather, that actually shows an exploded view. It's kind of impressive, the engineering that goes into these little things. I mean, for the CPU in question, obviously there's Atom powered chips that have a 4-watt SoC and whatever, but this is a 10-watt processor. That's kind of impressive that it's fanless. For those wanting to look this up, it is the NJ41S as its model number. So this one here was an even more impressive price. I'll put it up on the screen now. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. Which mini PC do you think is a better value? Do you think the BMax B2 Plus or the AWOW computer stick? I'd be curious to see what you think down below. And this will also get its own dedicated video. This one absolutely for sure is going to get its own video because, I mean, this thing's kind of neato. I really like it. It doesn't fit in my TV with the native HDMI, which is actually kind of surprising and not surprising because my TV's kind of strange. But they do include an HDMI extension cable, so that's super handy. I actually really appreciate that. So definitely going forward, there's going to be a few different videos. Mainly there's going to be a PC rebuild of my secondary AMD system. There's going to be a new server, potentially. I think that's how I'm going to go about it with those hard drives. And there's going to be 2 separate videos on each of these mini PCs respectively. And I've got even more content to come because, well, spoiler alert, that thing, well, I can't even aim properly, that thing has come in. And I also have some other things to show alongside it too. So definitely stay tuned for that because there's a lot to show and a lot to talk about. So what do you guys think about my haul? Do you think I did all right? Let me know down below in the comment section. And while you're at it, if you like this video, you know what to press. If you didn't like it so much, well then you also know what to press. Get subscribed and click the bell so you don't miss when I upload the videos on all these things, as well as future videos. And with that having been said, thank you all very much for coming to watch, and I'll catch you all in the next one.